Hello everyone, welcome back to Speaking Spurs and me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. I am back. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit it with a like if you enjoy it and leave your comments below. So what are we talking about today? It's the 1-1 draw against West Ham. I know, it feels disappointing considering we took the initiative, we took the lead. Is it a stumbling block in the season? For some of you, you may feel like it is, but we still remain unbeaten. That's the most important thing at this stage of the season. It would have been great to get the win. However, you can't win them all. And West Ham, traditionally, at their place, give us a very, very tough game. They seem to really turn up for it, even when they're struggling. So, Thomas Souček's second half equaliser helped West Ham to come from a goal down to earn them a 1-1 home draw. And we kind of knew it was coming. I know they've come off the back of a victory before the game. And part of me was thinking, they've had their victory, that's boosted them a bit. But if it could have been worse. If we'd have gone into this game and West Ham hadn't have won that last game, I think we would have got beaten. You know that's just the way it is. It's that sort of game where West Ham turn up against us, and if they're carrying that much frustration and passion that they need to turn things around, you know they're going to do it against us. So I think in that sense, we're kind of lucky that they'd got a victory under their belts. So, let's talk about the game a bit. We had a penalty overturned in the 15-minute following a lengthy 4-minute VAR check that deemed Harry Kane's header to have hit Aaron Cresswell's head instead of his hand. However, it did hit his arm after the head. His arm was also in an unnatural position. He made himself as big as possible against Harry Kane to, So there's arguments for, arguments against. The main argument, obviously why it wasn't given, is because it hit the head first. My argument would be the fact that his arm, regardless, was in an unnatural position before. So if it does not hit the head and hits his arm first, it's a penalty. Right? The fact that it hits his head first and his arm is still in an unnatural position shows intent. So for me, it could have gone either way. Obviously, I'm disappointed it wasn't given. I can see why they haven't given it. However, the fact that his arms are in an unnatural position, I can't let it go. I think it's a penalty. In my opinion, it's a penalty. Maybe that's because I'm a Tottenham fan and I'm biased. I suppose I won't know until I see a similar situation where it goes against us. And then I'll let you know. But in my opinion, penalty. What do you think? Do you think it was a penalty? Put it in the comments. The decision itself incensed Antonio Conte, who called for VAR to be cut off, while Moyes admitted the overturning decision completely changed the match. He said it gave his side a better foothold in the game. And of course it did. At that point, the referee gives the penalty and you're thinking, oh, here we go, another game, another defeat. Harry Kane's just missed a penalty in the last game, so the chances are he's going to put this one away. But yeah, the overturn, it did. It gave them a bit of belief. It's relief. And they're like, right, we really need to step up in this game. And they did. Despite the decision, though, we eventually went ahead in the 34th minute when Hammers defender Thilo Kehrer turned Kane's low cross into his own net following a lightning-quick counter-attack. Had he missed the ball, it wouldn't have mattered because Sonny was there right next to him, ready to put it into the back of the net. And actually, I kind of wish he had missed the ball because Son needs to score a goal. You can see the frustration. He's not playing his best football at the moment. He's kind of involved. He's in and out of the game. He's making rash decisions when he's shooting. You can see his confidence is a little low in that sense. So if he'd have got that goal, I think that relaxes him a bit and benefits us as a team. But the home side, they equalised 10 minutes into the second half through Souček after the midfielder smashed past Hugo Lloris, following a clever Mikel Antonio flick. And it annoys me when these situations happen because when it's a scrappy goal, you can't praise anything really. But honestly, that flick from Mikel Antonio was beautiful. I just wish it wasn't against us. It was a lovely, lovely bit of football. Very quick thinking. I was at the point where he was there in the box and I thought, he's lost this. Nothing's going to come from it. And that clever flick, really annoyed me. But what a great piece of individual skill. West Ham pushed for a winner. And And to be fair, they were playing well. Fornals blazed over from Soufal's cross. Bowen's last minute near post hook dangerously flashes across goal without any Hammer player on the end of it. There was also a moment, so they brought on new signing Paqueta, and it was clear that he'd not trained with them at all. You can see his quality though. There was definitely quality there from the Brazilian, and there was that moment where the ball was cut back across the box, and I can't remember who it was, but someone put it in the comments. One of the West Ham players left it for Paqueta to have a chance to have his first goal. So he dummied it, and then Paqueta kind of just... I don't even know what he was doing. Did he dummy it as well, or... I don't know, he just let it run through as well, and there was that moment between them, like, Moyes was frustrated. I'm sure if they'd have trained together, they would have realised what was going on. But I still find it hard to believe that Paqueta just left it. A player of his quality, and it was a good position for a strike as well, and that could have been our downfall. We could have lost that game. But look, we held on to maintain our unbeaten record this season to stay third, while West Ham took their first home point in the new campaign, having lost their opening 2 games at the London Stadium. The game itself is a bit of a weird one because it was actually a good game for a neutral to watch. I thought there was lots of good football, but again, we're still nowhere near our best. And that is, I suppose, a compliment in a way because, as Harry Kane said in the last game against Nottingham Forest, we're grinding out results. And that's exactly what we did. Unfortunately, we had the incentive in this game and allowed them back in. But, you know, they are relentless against us. Bowen is such a hard worker. That guy runs himself into the ground. Even towards the end of the game, he was just flying in the press. But I just felt at times we were too slow again. Now, one of the guys that I work with sometimes, he's a West Ham fan and season ticket holder. He was up at the game. And he come away from that game and said, I tell you what, the West Ham fans, a lot of them just could not believe how good Dejan Kulusevski is. And obviously we appreciate him, our ginger from Sweden. He's a great player, isn't he? Absolutely fantastic. And speaking about Kulusevski, if you've got time after this video or at any point, go on to, I think it might actually be, it's either Tottenham's YouTube or Sky Sports. There was an interview done with Kulusevski and they're talking about how he's quickly becoming a very established player in the Premier League. Now, let's forget he's only 22. And it's just a quick insight. I mean, I've told you about Kulusevski when he signed, like where he come from, but it's just nice to hear it from the player. It's only a short video, about 6-7 minutes maybe. It might even be shorter than that. But he just talks about where he's come from until now, talks about why he wanted to play under Antonio Conte and how he applies himself as a footballer. And I think it's really good. The guy is so humble. And you saw that in this game. Like, Sonny got taken off against Forest and threw a little hissy fit. Obviously, frustration, probably his own performance, as well as the fact that Antonio Conte took him off again. Whereas in this West Ham game, you see Kulusevski, he's worked so hard. He's like bright red in the face. He gets taken off. He's applauding the fans on the way back, and he doesn't kick off at all. He comes off the bench. He's very, very calm about it, very for the team, not selfish at all. And it was nice to see. The guy is an absolute gent and a great player. It also looks like Eric Dyer is going to earn himself, finally, a place back in the England squad for the upcoming Nations Leagues games. I mean, I feel like he's been hard done by. He had a fantastic season last season. And what makes it more embarrassing is that England don't always play the 2 at the back. They play 3 at the back. Eric Dyer plays 3 at the back every week, in the heart of it, organises well, doesn't put too much of a foot wrong anymore. He can pass the ball as well, like a long ping. He can cover in midfield if need be. Like, why was he not in the squad? And now hopefully he does get called up. It looks like he's going to. If he gets called up for these games, he has to play a part in both of them. I think it would be harsh for Southgate to only give him 1 game to show what he can do. It's the last opportunity before the World Cup as well. So, you know, fingers crossed for him. I think he's been fantastic last season. He's continued it this season. Let's talk a bit about Davinson Sanchez as well. You know, in the Forest game, it made, about 10 hours of Premier League football since we last conceded a goal with Davinson Sanchez on the pitch. We finally conceded one. It was going to happen eventually, but Are we starting to see a better Davinson Sanchez under Antonio Conte? Now, I think there's an interview floating about that he's done. I don't know whether it was a video one or just a written one, questions and answers, talking about life under Antonio Conte and how it's benefited him. I will find it, I will dig it out, and I'll do a short video on it if I can. But I think he's been an absolute rock. Davies is keeping Longley out the team. You know, who thought that? Many people thought that Longley was coming in to replace Ben Davies in the squad. I personally thought he was coming in for the rotation. Obviously, he got that little injury, Longley, which has kept him out. And it might just be the fact that Conte doesn't want to risk it until he feels he's at 100% fitness, or maybe he'll start bringing him on later in games. But yeah, Davies so far keeping him out the squad, and I think that's lit a fire up under Davies, and again, taking him onto another level. Like, he doesn't do anything amazing, but he does his job, and that's all we need from these players. Do your job. Follow men, make challenges, make blocks, wear your heart on your sleeve, win your headers, win your one-on-ones, and for the most part, the players are doing it. But yeah, in this game, I feel like it was kind of a missed opportunity, but I'll tell you for why we should be happy after I've spoken about what Conte said. So, Conte said, I think we had the opportunity to get the 3 points today, and for this reason, we have to be a bit disappointed for the final result on the one hand. On the other hand, I think that it is not easy to play against West Ham, especially in this stadium with this atmosphere. But you, and this bit gets a bit weird, but you can pay attention over 95 minutes, but only once you don't pay attention and you concede a goal that you can avoid, because we conceded a goal that we could avoid, and in the end, 1 point is good, especially away at West Ham. Sometimes he's English, we know he's not great, so it comes out a bit weird, but essentially he's saying, we did all that concentration, there was one moment where we didn't concentrate, we conceded a goal, and against a team like West Ham that are very resilient, especially when they play us, it was always going to be hard to put another one away. I think had we had the penalty earlier in the game, it probably would have made a bit of a difference, but I wouldn't have bet against West Ham coming back into the game. So now to talk about why getting a draw at West Ham is not a bad thing. So, this season, we have had the wins, we've had the draws, we've had no losses, right? For those of you that haven't looked at the specific games here, take a guess how many points we had against these teams last season. Obviously, Nottingham Forest weren't in the league, so that's, you can either null and void it, or you can pretend they're Norwich, because last season we beat Norwich in both games. So for the sake of this, we'll pretend Nottingham Forest are Norwich. So 3 points there. Southampton at home, we lost. Chelsea away, we lost. West Ham away, we lost. Wolves at home, we lost. So if we take these games from last season, they're an improvement. If you take the Nottingham Forest game out of the equation, we would have 0 points based on last season. If you put that game in there, then we have 3 points from last season. That's what we would have had. So yes, there's a little bit of frustration that we could be getting better results. But if you look at the reversed fixtures, these are not bad teams we've been playing. Chelsea done us 3 times last season. Very hard to take. I know they're not the same team as they were last season and they're struggling a bit. But last season, that was us. We were not the same team. We were the strugglers. But this season, we've taken points off of them. So I think I had a little look at it. And if you base, if you were to say the Premier League was going to play out the exact same way from now till the end of the season as it did last season, we'll ignore all the other teams, right? Our season, right, based on that. If we got the same results against the rest of the teams, and we'll pretend that obviously Nottingham Forest are Norwich, we would finish 3rd comfortably. Not by loads of points, but it would be a case that Chelsea would have to do something special and we would have to lose a few games right up at the end of the season. I think it would be 3 games that we would have to lose or draw a couple for them to overtake us. That's progression. We just about forced our way into the top 4 last season. Now, these extra games that we've won, And Antonio Conte will look at it like this. It's points that we didn't pick up last season, because in his head, Antonio Conte will be saying, right, all those teams that you beat last season and all those teams you drew against last season, I expect you to do the same, if not better, against this season, i.e. scoring more goals against the teams we beat or beating the teams that we drew against. And the teams that we lost against, even if you draw against them, you're picking up more points than you did last season. It's progression. So I think as fans, we have to be realistic. I know it's disappointing because we want to see more wins. And I think what makes it harder is the fact that Arsenal have won every single game. We're only 5 games into the season. We've had a more difficult run so far than Arsenal, I would argue anyway. Arsenal have now got a difficult spell of games coming up, so we'll see where they're at. Look, I'm not going to lie, they're in a good position, they're playing well. Arteta has signed good players because the club have stuck by him. So yeah, we shall see what happens with them. But all in all, to get a draw away at West Ham, there were a few Spurs fans that I spoke to that actually said they would take a draw away at West Ham before kickoff because they know what happens in these games against West Ham. They didn't want to come away with a loss. So yeah, a draw, not a bad result. Better position than last season based on that, because we've won games, we've drawn games, we've picked up points against teams we did not pick up points against last season. So that is good news. Yes, things can get better, we could play better, but you know, you have to look at the silver linings when you find them. So what have we got up next? We have a game today, Saturday, against newly promoted Fulham. So another newly promoted team in our run. Fulham have managed to, well, I'd say they had a decent transfer window. They actually signed one of our former players, our lone player, Carlos Vinicius, who will surely be looking to score against us after not being given a real chance, I would say. He couldn't show what he could do in the Premier League. He only played 9 games, I think it was, in the Premier League, scored 1 goal. It was 9 or 10 games in the Premier League, scored 1 goal. But I actually quite liked Vinicius. I thought he worked hard, he looked good. And us as fans, that's what we like, really. We love a player that works hard. The same as we all like Soldado, we all like Vincent Janssen. But I think the problem is with Kane there, they don't get... Soldado did, because Kane was kind of coming through at that time. But certainly Janssen and Vinicius never got a real chance, because if Kane's fit, Kane plays. So they're always second fiddle. They're in and out the side, can't get a consistent run. And any striker will tell you they need that run of games where they're consistently playing for their confidence, for their form, their sharpness. Look, I liked him. He proved what he could do in the cup games. I know, yes, some of them were against really weak teams like Marine, but he applied himself well. And I'm happy that he's back in the Premier League and gets a chance. I'm not happy that he couldn't end up playing against us. But as I said, yeah, if we look at it, so far we've played 5, remained unbeaten, 2 home games, it's in the victories, the 4-1 against Southampton, the 1-0 against Wolves, the 3 away games. You know, we beat Forest 2-0, we drew 2-2 with Chelsea, drew 1-1 with West Ham. But yeah, I've got it actually written down here, so if we pretend that Forest were Norwich and keep that comparison there, we finished on 71 points, and this season that would mean if it was identical, we'd finish on 79 points, which would see us comfortably finish first. So stuff to smile about. Hopefully we get the victory today. Thank you for watching. I have been Kieran from Speaking Spurs. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, and until next time, come on you Spurs.